Hello, and thank you for joining me for this, what I'm hoping will be an insightful discussion and presentation. And this is going to be presentation on getting started, staying motivated, and executing consistently to achieve to your highest potential. I prepared this in order to help folks to overcome what I feel is three most of the roadblocks that people encounter on their way to their goals and to their aspirations and to their dreams. So the three blocks that I'm going to speak of, I'm going to cover that in about, it's not going to be a long conversation, it's going to be 45-50 minutes, so bear with me. And I'm going to finish it with the best, with the commitment and how to make a commitment and how to expand it, how to make it stronger. So there's an actual formula for commitment, and I will be sharing it with you if you can make it with me till the end of this presentation. So let's get started. And this is basically, we're going to talk about unlocking success with purpose, planning, and persistence. Moving on. And our agenda is going to be block number one, resistance and getting started, consistency and showing up. This is the second block. I think that's very important because even when we get started, sometimes we don't stick around, we don't consistently show up. We will speak about tools on goals, prioritization, and time management. And then we will speak about one very, very important and very sneaky kind of an iceberg type of block that's kind of underwater and you can't really see it a lot of times, limiting beliefs. And again, as I promised you, we'll finish by making a commitment and how to make that commitment stronger. So just very quickly as an introduction, right? We all are here for a reason, right? Whether it's to raise your son or your daughter or your children, or whether it is to make some contribution in your organization, or whether it's to mentor someone, or whether it's to become an example for someone. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be something big, but it can be something very, very big. Okay. And we can agree that we all have some dreams and goals, right? We all want to get something done. We all want to get somewhere. And we're all kind of wanting to make progress towards that. So that's why I kind of wanted to put this together to talk about it and to help with tools that can help you get there, right? Like I said, hopefully by the end of this presentation, you will be motivated, inspired, but most importantly, you will have the concrete tools to get started on your way to progress. Whether we are aware of it or not, we are living out the story that we told ourselves about ourselves, right? We are living out a story. And I'll give you an example of two different stories. Here's example number one, which I'm not very fond of. Well, I'm an immigrant. I came here very young. I didn't really have a lot of tools. So kind of given that circumstance, I haven't really done very well. And this is just kind of my draw of the luck, right? This is just kind of my fate. And that's just kind of, I'm living out this script because, again, I was handicapped by not being from here. And it wasn't easy for me. I didn't have a network. I didn't have my family's support here in the country. So that's the story number one, right? Here's another story, which actually is the story that I told myself, and it's a true story. You know, I'm an immigrant. I'm a survivor. I struggled through, and I made it through, and I've achieved many different things because I have the support of my family behind me, always in my heart and with me. And I will persevere. It may not be easy, but I will make it, and I will make it happen because this is who I am. So that's the story that I tell myself. And again, it is your story, and you're going to be living your life based on the good story you tell yourself, or the story that you potentially, and that's not the most beneficial for you, that you tell yourself. And you will be living it out whether you are aware of it or not. And what I'm suggesting is, one, that you become aware of it, that there is a script that you are actually carrying out when you are progressing throughout your days, your months, your years, and throughout your life. And I'm suggesting that you are in charge of it. You, by becoming aware of it, you can say, I don't really like the way that I always frame things, that I'm sound kind of victimy, and I need to be more in charge of my path, and I will overcome and I will learn. And just because I'm struggling, that doesn't mean that's bad. That means that I'm actually learning. I'm developing new skills. I'm picking up new tools. Again, it's all kind of like in that reframe. And again, what I want to finish this with by saying that you are in charge of this, and you are in charge of this story. Become aware of it, pronounce it in your head, and see if you need to edit it and to modify it so that it can, like a heat-seeking missile, you are programming your mind to take you there, and it will be taking you there. You will be living out that script. So just be aware of it and be careful about the script that's playing in your mind. And sometimes it's not even yours. Sometimes it's the well-meaning protective family or the educators that are kind of like, well, you just need to be very careful, and you never know, and maybe you shouldn't be taking those risks. Again, those are all different scripts. So I do encourage you to dream, and I just really love this picture and this what Simon Sinek said. Dream big, start small, but most of all start. Okay, but do dream and do start. And that brings me to overcoming resistance. Resistance is the enemy of progress, okay? And the whole point of this portion here, the block number 1, the block that typically stands on your way of achieving things, is you not starting, is you saying to yourself, I'm not quite yet ready. Who do I think I am? I don't really know. Why would people want to hear from me? What can I teach someone? Or I don't have the abilities to do that yet. I just don't have the money yet to do that. And those are the different voices of resistance, right, that you can recognize. And some of them are very well-meaning sounding. Regardless, that is what stops you in your way of progress, because you don't even start, right? And like Lao Tzu said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Okay, so you have to start, even if you don't quite feel ready, because a lot of times you will feel not ready. The circumstances will never be perfect, and the stars will not be perfectly aligned at any one specific moment that you are waiting for. You just need to get started, okay? And those small, deliberate actions lead to great achievements. They lead to great results. That one step gets you one step closer, right? So just one step a day gets you 365 steps closer at the end of the year. That's going to be your progress, even if it is one step. What is just this one thing that I can do today, not tomorrow? Because I will be ready tomorrow. Today, I'm just not quite ready. Today, what is the one thing that I can do? And then you will feel this sense like, okay, I've actually I've started, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. The most important thing is to get started, okay? And I will tell you this story that comes from one of my favorite books. It's called Failing Forward, is the book. And in the book, the author tells of a professor who, when teaching a class, would often do this experiment. He would divide the classroom into 2 groups, and the group number 1 would be charged with creating as many baskets, weaving as many baskets as possible. Just create as many baskets as you can. And the group number 2 was tasked with creating just one basket. Create just one basket, but it has to be perfect. It has to be the amalgamation of all the wonderful things about baskets. It has to be just be this beautiful work of art. And so they were given a week to do this. And the first group merrily went on their way, and they feverishly began making baskets. They had no idea what they were doing, and the baskets came out in a hurry, in a flurry, and there were many of them. And you can imagine in the beginning they were just hideous looking, and nobody cared because the goal was to make as many as possible. And what do you know? In the process, through iteration, through learning, through observing, through bumping into those different kind of things, like, okay, maybe we should try this instead, they eventually created some really beautiful baskets, and some of them were truly remarkable. The second group had a very different experience. They deliberated a lot, and they discussed, and they analyzed, and they overanalyzed, and they procrastinated, and they, kind of just, but is that really the best thing? Is that really the one? Is that really the perfect basket? There was a lot of conversations and talking and no real action. And if just a few days before the deadline, they realized that they really need to get started, and they did get started on creating a basket, and eventually they did create one, and it was a really mediocre piece of work. So why did I want to share this story about this professor who runs those experiments with his classroom? Is just to give you an idea that when you get started, you potentially may not be inspired at the moment, and you may not be motivated, and you may not feel ready, and you may not be ready. And you may say, yes, I know I need to record this video, but I just will wait. I'm not quite ready. I need to prepare more, and I need to study more. And who would want to hear from me? And all of those voices that I was talking about, they will all come in different shapes and forms. But if you get started in the process, you will be doing the work, and you will be learning, and you will be calibrating and recalibrating, and you will be getting better, and you will be making results, and you will be making progress, as opposed to analysis and over-analysis. Because this resistance that you feel is nothing but a cousin of procrastination. So just keep that in mind, get started. And another thing I wanted to say, that the more resistance that you feel, and the more trepidation and fear that you feel, pay attention to that. That actually a lot of times is a sign that you are on the right track, that this is potentially could be something very important to you, that this could be your dream, this could be your purpose, this could be your calling. Because this emotion signals something important. If it wasn't very important, and it was just something that you are trying to get done, that's not even much of a challenge, you would feel pretty indifferent. It wouldn't really evoke much in terms of emotion. This feeling of emotion actually means that it is a very meaningful, deeply meaningful thing to you to get done. It may be associated with your purpose. So it's a good thing to know, right? It's good to be aware of it. It's a blessing, because that will tell you, maybe this is what I'm meant to do. And again, it's always better to know what it is that you want to do. Yes, as I said, many voices of resistance. It can sound like a well-meaning parent, as a supportive friend. I'm just trying to protect you. Listen, I just don't want you to look like a fool, and I just want you to be well prepared. So beware of that. Just recognize that this here could be the voice of resistance. It could be reality, but it could just be simply resistance. And if you are aware of it, you have to act, not think and plan. Act despite of it. You have to overcome it and start, regardless of how imperfectly. I want to record this video, but I just want to be well prepared. I want to have now a professional camera, and I need to record it because it's going to have to be perfect. And now I'm going to occupy myself with getting this perfect professional camera so that I can record this perfect video. And now I'm going to be saving for a month. All it is, you're procrastinating. Record, go ahead, just start doing it. And maybe you will need to do it again and again and again. And guess what? That's actually good, because you will be learning and you will be doing the work. There is nothing but the work. You cannot substitute working, putting in the hours, putting in the work. And inspiration is great, but you may not have it when you start. It's a very fickle muse, the inspiration. it comes to those that put in the hours sometimes. It will come to you once it sees that you deserve it, that you are putting in the hours, that you are consistently showing up again and again, and it will show up for you. Okay, so that's professional versus an artist, right? Professional, and these I just meant as symbolic illustrations. I don't mean a specific artist. By professional, I mean someone who shows up and does the work, and the person treats it like a job. I have to wake up, I have to get ready, and I have to put in the hours. Good or bad, I'm going to put in my hours, I'm going to do the work, I'm going to take the action. Versus an artist who potentially may say, well, I woke up and it's just I'm not feeling it today, I'm feeling kind of blue and I'm really not in the mood, and I just don't feel the inspiration, I just don't feel motivated today. Feel it or not, regardless of rain or shine, show up and do the work, be the professional, and put in the hours, do the work. Don't wait for perfection, don't wait for inspiration, start working. Okay, and so now we started working. We did the most important thing. We took this first step. Great, now we can stop, we're done. No, we're not. So the next important thing, the next block, right, that people encounter after they get started, they stop. And that's when the second part of this conversation comes from, the block, right? Consistency and consistently showing up. You have to show up consistently, whether it's every day or every week, depending on your goals, right? But you have to show up because the world is run by those who actually just show up because no one else is there. So it's run by people who consistently show up, okay? And you can be dreaming and you can be having all kinds of ideas and inspirations, and all will remain. It's just a wish. It's just an inspiration, right? As Antoine de Saint-Exupéry said, a goal without a plan is just a wish. We all have wishes that are just out there in the ether, not being brought down to earth by your hard work and perspiration, right? So that's why it's important to make a plan, to set goals. And goals is what kind of brings that inspiration into action, right? That this is what makes it actually become into reality. You're taking vague aspirations into actionable steps when you are clearly outlining your goals to yourselves and to others, right? And we'll talk about that. So why do we set goals? I first want to talk about that. So again, it gives you structure and clarity, and that leads to increasing commitment because you now know what you're committed to. It's clearly stated, this is what I want to get done, and that will increase the commitment because it will also increase your accountability because now you can actually be held to that clearly defined goal. I have my reservations with accountability. Don't get me wrong. I think accountability really increases progress, and we'll talk about it, but I do have a couple of issues with it and I will mention them towards the end. What else happens when you set goals is the mental encoding and visualization, which increases follow through. So the way our brain works is that story, that picture that you have in your mind of the way that things are going to go, you live it out. You actually, you see it first, whether you're conscious of it or not, and you tell it to yourself first, again, whether you're conscious of it or not, and then you kind of following that script, live it out every day, and you are basically programming your brain to follow it like a heat-seeking missile, like a thermostat that's set directly at 70 degrees, no higher, no lower. If it goes to 69, you'll come back to 70. If it goes to 72, you'll go to 70, because this is what your brain is programmed to do, because you've clearly visualized that goal, you've communicated it to your subconscious and conscious, and now it's part of the encoding. And if you think it's silly, what I'm saying is, if you notice this phenomena, right, about the car again, you want to have this red, raspberry looking Mazda car, right, and you really want it. And if you notice, you will start noticing that that bright colored Mazda everywhere you go. Was it not there before? No, it was there the whole time, but now your brain actually picks up on it. So by clearly defining your goals, just as an example, you will start noticing things that are relevant to your goals. And it's because you're constantly, in a way, you are obsessing over this goal, right? You have it in your mind. Yeah, I'm going to get this done. And now your mind starts to see things that are relevant to its fulfillment, and it's going to help you. The universe will start to kind of align, right? All the forces, now that you have your goal very clearly defined. And also it helps you to track small, consistent progress, which will support your motivation. Have you noticed that sometimes, let's say you want to lose lose a few pounds, and you start going to the gym, and you go and you go and you go, and a month later you're like, what gives? Like, nothing is changing. I'm not making any progress, and it's very demotivating, right? So if you are seeing, however, progress, because you've measured in the beginning and you've set your goals going forward, you can see even the tiniest progress. You can see it will keep you motivated, right? And what helps with that is again, setting that goal very clearly and clearly defining it, right? And I'm going to finish this why, the importance of setting goals and why we do it with the 2018 study at the Dominican University in California. Okay, it's an amazing study. It basically 150 approximately people finished that study from all over the world. The people from England, India, US, from all walks of life, very different professions, students. So a mixture of people. And the results held true. The population of the study participants was divided into 5 groups. The first group had goals, and they were just thinking about them. They did not write them down. The group 2, 3, 4, 5 actually did write them down, and progressively. So group 2 wrote them down. Group 3 not only, they also created actionable commitments. These are the things that I'm going to do about it, right? Group 4 also communicated the goals, the actionable commitments written down to a friend of theirs, to a supportive friend of theirs. And the last group also was giving small progress reports to that supportive friend. So many takeaways from that study. But the group number 1 that did not write those goals down by far was exceeded by group 2 through 5. All the groups that did write them down did a lot better than the group 1 that did not. So it's important to write your goals down. And by the way, I'll have that 2018 study information at the end of the presentation. It will all be in references. All the books that I'm speaking about, they will all be in reference materials on the last page. So you don't need to worry about that. You'll have all of that. So groups that also made actionable commitments and communicated them to a supportive friend. The last group, number 5, that also actually weekly communicated the progress, very small, 1 paragraph to a friend of theirs. This is how I've done this week, had done by far best than any groups. So, and again, you can see all the numbers to this study. It's only a 2-page PDF, but it really outlines a beautiful study that just confirms scientifically that setting goals, writing them down, having accountability partner is by far a lot more effective than not writing them down, right? So because it gets you closer to the progress. So what is my issue with accountability? Just a couple. Again, I think it's an extremely important tool. I am actually accountable to a few people right now to be recording this video. So that's a good thing. It really kept me going, right? For instance, first is when you want to get something done, you have this jolt of inspiration and you're pumped. You're like, I'm going to do it. This is going to be great. I'm going to get this accomplished. And then you start talking about it to your friend, and then you talk and you talk and you talk and you talk, and you splash out so much of that energy into it that at the time you feel a little bit deflated. Okay, like you almost feel like you kind of done something, right? But all you've really done is talk. So my suggestion in the beginning, take that jolt of energy and use that to get started on your goal and make somewhat of a progress, and maybe then start kind of talking about it, right? Because you do expend a lot through just discussing it, and you get this fake sense of accomplishment, and you really, again, haven't done anything yet. You just been discussing it and telling people about it and being all excited about it, but what have you really done? Nothing. So that's my issue number one with accountability. My issue number two is be careful who you tell about your dreams. And it's because I feel that people come from two different places, right? One is they come from a place of love and support. And two, they come from a place of fear and hopefully support, right? Then it's not because they don't love you or they don't want to support you, but it's just their framework, right? They come from a place of protection and they fear that, don't be making that move. It's very risky. You shouldn't be doing this. So when you're choosing an accountability partner, choose someone who comes from the first place, from the place of love, right? So that they can show you that support. Enough said. Again, be careful about the people you share it with. You want to share it with someone who is going to support you on your way, who is going to give you that little push when you're feeling a little bit stuck, right? Who's going to encourage you, and not the opposite. So just be wise about the accountability person, okay? And now I want to quickly finish this part with the SMART goal framework. If you're not aware of the SMART goal framework, I'm really happy you're listening to this because it's a very instrumental framework. It really helps you frame your goals in the way that are very conducive to progress. So what is SMART goal framework? When you state a goal, and at the end I'll give you an example, so it's not just like this vague idea. It needs to be specific. So what exactly do you want to achieve? Okay. Measurable. How will you measure progress? Okay. Because guess what? What gets measured gets done. Okay. If you cannot measure it, it's very mushy. It's kind of, you don't really know. Are you progressing? Are you not? Achievable. Is this goal realistic given your current resources? Irrelevant. Does it align with your purpose, with your goals? And then time bound. What is the deadline? Okay, and I'll give you an example. So a lot of times, because I love New Year's resolutions, okay? And that's just one example. It doesn't need to be specifically December 31st. You can do it at any time, but I love New Year's resolutions. And I often will ask folks, what is your New Year's resolution? And many a time you will hear, well, I want to be more healthy, I just want to be more fit, more physically active. Okay. And every time I want to say, well, what does that mean exactly? And then there's a pause, right? So let me give you an example how you would want to put it as a SMART goal, right? So I want to go to the gym. That's my specific goal. Okay, I want to go to the gym. How will you measure progress? I want to go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, that's my measurement. I'm gonna go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. Is this goal realistic given my resources? Many a time at night, I may be able to do it. I have 2 classes. So at night, yes, and maybe a couple of times, 1 or 2 times on the weekend. So when the week is really tough, I can do 3 times. And when I can see that I have a little bit more time, I'll do it 4 times. So yes, it's fairly realistic. Now, if I was a consultant, waking up at, let's say, 5 in the morning, constantly flying around, coming back home at 9 p.m. every night, that may not be a realistic goal. I may need to choose walking every lunch. Every single day for lunch, I will be walking. So this is just an example of, is it gonna work within your schedule, right? Relevant. Does it align with, it aligns with my purpose of being more healthy, being more fit, and being more physically active. Definitely aligns. It's very relevant to me. Time bound, the deadline is once a week. Once a week, I take a look. I needed to be in the gym 3 to 4 times a week. So again, compare the goals, right? First, I want to be more physically active, I want to be fit, and I want to, just be more healthy in general. Versus, I will go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week for a month, a quarter, a year. So choose your framework, choose your deadlines. But that's how SMART framework in goal setting works. And it is, like I said, it's very instrumental in actually making it very concrete, making it very specific. And now you can be accountable. Heck, better yet, get yourself a workout buddy. Then you can hold each other accountable and you can have more fun in the process, right? So goal setting, we're going to finish here and we will move on to lifesavers. So far during this presentation, you could be thinking, yeah, this all is really, really good stuff. It really makes sense. I can't really disagree with you. It's all very logical. But like this is really, it's not really very much applicable to me because, given my current resource, given my current schedule, I just don't have the time to be thinking about all this stuff and to be, setting goals and sitting down and writing them down and analyzing all of this and strategizing and planning, because guess what? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So, yeah, and you could be saying, and I get all of that, but I just can't. I can't get this done. So, may I suggest to you the lifesavers and the miracle morning? What is the miracle morning? Miracle morning is a routine that happens in the morning. And hear me out, right? So, let's say and I can agree with you. Listen, I wake up in the morning at 8 a.m. and it starts and I do this and I do many different things and then I work and then I have to do a lot of things for my family and then I have to go and see my parents and take out the dog and whatever that is that you have to do, which we all have a schedule. The suggestion in the miracle morning routine is you now wake up an hour earlier. And hear me out. I know it's not a very pleasant suggestion, but the point is that if let's say you wake up at 8 and now you wake up at 7, you now have that hour, and you have to be very disciplined about it. Not only in terms of waking up at 7, but actually not letting anything encroach upon that hour. Because guess what? This hour only belongs to you. You would have been sleeping right now. This hour doesn't belong to your life partner. It doesn't belong to your boss. It doesn't even belong to your child. Because again, you would have been in bed sleeping right now, seeing dreams. Now you have this 1 hour that is 100% dedicated to you and belongs only to you, and nobody can lay a claim to it. So what do you do during this 1 hour? 60 minutes, right? So as you can see, I have here an acronym, SAVERS, that basically describes that 1 hour, and it breaks it down into 6 10-minute intervals. And in those 10 minutes, in the first 10 minutes, you're going to do the first S, which is silence, which is meditation or quiet reflection. Okay, during this time, you are going to just gather your thoughts and hopefully get them out of your mind and just follow your breathing. And whatever the app, if you use an app like Calm or any other app for meditation, or if you are, you can follow a YouTube meditation. They have plenty of those on YouTube. You can just set a timer for 10 minutes and just follow your breath, relax, close your eyes. I have to be honest with you. If I'm waking up an hour earlier, I cannot do the first S, silence, the first, because I will fall asleep. So, full disclosure, I'll take that silence and I'll stick it somewhere in the middle, right? Once I'm fully awake, I'll do the silence, the meditation. During this time, that's when you center yourself for the day. You prepare yourself for the day before all the hectic running around starts happening, right? Before the day starts happening, this is when you center yourself. And again, you don't have to start with this. You can do it towards the end. The second letter is A for affirmations. This is where you put statements, very good positive statements into your mind. This is when you program your mind, right? This is when you are rewriting your story, right? This is where you are saying, I am capable. I am strong, and I do keep my word, and I will keep working on it, and I will persevere, and it will eventually become a habit of mine, and I will get this done. It will stick. Eventually, it will stick. And I'll just share some of my favorite ones. I really love the every day the universe is quietly conspiring in my favor. I love this one. And every day I look for and appreciate the good. Today I look for and appreciate the good, and I'm so very grateful and blessed. So these are just some of the positive statements that you can say. It's really up to you. There are some really great affirmations that I found online. If you reach out to me, I can share them with you. I really love them, and you just turn it on and it just keeps on playing. And so you spend your 10 minutes doing affirmations. Then you go into visualization. That's your third 10-minute interval. This is where you are, again, programming your thermostat right here, your heat-seeking missile, to imagine your goals and your success, how amazing it will be once you achieve what you've set to do, how amazing it will be for me to get this video done and to get it out there, how amazing it will be when I see the impact that it will have, the positive impact that it will have, the tools that it will give people to kind of overcome their blocks and to get them to progress and to their dreams and to their aspirations. So this is where you visualize that. The E stands for exercise. This is moving your body to energize. Again, you have 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be fancy. You can do some push-ups, you can do some pull-ups, you can do some stretching, some dips off of the bench or a couch or a chair, some curls with dumbbells, some jumping jacks, just something to get your blood moving, or maybe it's a 10-minute walk outside, right? You leave, you go for 10 minutes, and then you come back. R is for reading. Imagine if every single day without fail, you read 10 minutes a day. I mean, you would be done with books and books and books. Even if it's just a few pages, but consistently reading for 10 minutes, you would learn so much of wisdom and all those different tools, for example. And I have a reading list for you at the end of this presentation in the reference section. So we got you all set with that one. And the lastly, it's scribing, it's journaling to reflect and plan. This is where you are going to be clarifying maybe your goals. This is where you will maybe reporting on your progress to yourself or to your friend. This is where you can share your fears, or this is what I'm trying to overcome, or this is what's bothering me, or this is what I'm grateful for. I'm so happy that I've gotten an hour this morning all to myself. What a luxury. So you journal about whatever that is relevant and important to you at that time, and it is very therapeutic, and sometimes it's very enlightening. Sometimes you can come out with a lot of insights when you journal. It works for a lot of people. And if you are not the journaling type, then use it again to just report on progress. If you're a very action-oriented type of person and you want to clarify your goals, and maybe brainstorm on the ideas to get there closer, then this is your time to journal. Lifesavers. This is a beautiful acronym. Why is it called Miracle Morning? Because it happens in the morning, and if you do this consistently, miracles will happen. This book, Miracle Morning, it was written by Harmony, and again, it's in the end of the presentation. I highly recommend it. It's a huge community, by the way. There are millions of people that are connected on various social media platforms that follow Miracle Morning, and they support each other. It's a community of people that follow the Miracle Morning. So again, you don't need to be part of that community. I'm just saying that if you need support or inspiration or stories coming out of people practicing Miracle Morning, they're out there. Okay, so acronym SAVERS: silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. Hal Harmony wrote that book. By the way, he has an incredible story as a human and as an amazing author, and he's just a very accomplished coach. So highly recommend the book. Moving on to another amazing book by Stephen Covey, which is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's one, you read books sometimes, and a lot of times you kind of vaguely remember the idea, but you don't really remember any specifics. This book I read years and years ago, and I really need to reread it. This matrix is with me almost every day, because you always think about, how am I spending my time, right? I'm prioritizing, because we were speaking about, when are we getting all of this done? When are we getting all of those wonderful things that I'm talking about done? I mean, where do you find the time in the day to get this done? So this matrix helps with that, because it helps you think about where your attention goes. Where does your time flow? Because where your attention goes, that's where the progress goes. So if it's not, if your time and your attention is not targeted and focused onto something that you want to get done, then it's going to be frittered away, right? So let me introduce you to this matrix. So in one dimension, you have important versus not important. On the other dimension, you have urgent and not urgent. Okay, so obviously the first line is the one you want to be mostly in. So every time you have a task come in, every time you're planning on working on something, or something is calling your attention, subconsciously or consciously, you need to think about this matrix. Now, there's the important, and then there's the very important in my mind. So which goes by urgent, not urgent, but in opposite. So important is important and urgent. This is quadrant 1. These are basically deliverables at work, crisis, deadlines. That's just as an example, right? Or deliverables at school, or it's something that you have to get done. You have to go and pick up your son from school. Like, this has to be done. It's important and it's urgent. Okay, so this is quadrant 1. These are your projects, your deadlines that you have to deliver, your final exams. That's obviously important, and it is urgent. However, I think even more important than that is the quadrant number 2, which is important and not urgent. This is the work that we're doing right now. This is the strategic work. This is the work where you spend your time. It's not going to come and knock on your door and yank you and say, you have to do this right now. You have to be disciplined about realizing that, no, while it's not urgent, it's extremely important, because that's what's going to dictate the flow of your day, of your month, of your year, and of your life, right? Because this is where you do your planning, your long-term goals, and this is where the long-term growth happens. It's very, very important quadrant, right? Now, let me quickly mention the not important ones, okay? And I'm not calling you out, but I am totally calling you out. The not important ones, right? So one is quadrant number 3, which is urgent, not important. This is you trying to be helpful to everyone. Okay, this is you, other people's fires, interruptions, disruptions. Hey, I need your help. Can you do this for me right now? I'm not saying you're going to be heartless and cruel, and you're just going to be like this, machine that's just a robot that's marching towards your destination, and forget about everyone else. No, but I'm saying that you need to be conscious of it, and you potentially need to schedule it at a certain time, but don't get yanked around by that quadrant into activities that take you away from the first line, right? You gotta go get your son from school. This is urgent and important. You cannot be, discussing something with someone, maybe at a later point, just not right now, right? So again, realize what it is, and either schedule it at another time, or just realize that this is not your burden to carry, that someone else needs to assume responsibility for it, because you cannot assume responsibility for everyone. You need to assume responsibility for yourself. Okay, so and that's, put your mask on first, right? Then someone else. Lastly, and this is where I am going to be calling you out, the time suck, the quadrant 4, the not urgent, not important. What is that? This is social media. This is TV. This is the great Netflix shows. This is, by the way, on average, a person spends 6 hours per day either watching TV or being on social media. Okay? 6 hours per day. Do not tell me you don't have the time, okay? 6 hours per day on average per person, which means some spend more, some spend less. I'm not saying you need to get off Facebook or Instagram, but I'm saying become very conscious of it. And if it gives you something and you feel that it's giving you this return, and you enjoy it so much, that's great. Limit it, okay? During this 1 hour, I'm gonna enjoy it so much, but after that, I'm done, okay? I'll dedicate 1 hour a day for that, or whatever your framework is, whatever your limits are. But again, this is the time suck. This is the doom scrolling, okay? So very important. This kind of brings me to conclusion of that second block. And now we are going to talk about the third block. And so we continue with the third roadblock. The final roadblock, I believe, is one of the important ones that stops people on their way to progress, is the limiting beliefs that we have in here. So we're going to talk about shining light and working on removing those limiting beliefs, those barriers we sometimes unconsciously have inside of our mind that limit our progress, because we believe that you cannot go any further. And that's where you kind of have to question it and say, who said that you cannot go any further? Why is that? So our greatest limits often aren't physical, they're mental, right? So I'm going to tell you another story. And that story was about Roger Bannister. Who is Roger Bannister? So in 1954, Roger Bannister broke a very important athletic record. For decades, the trainers, the coaches, the athletes themselves, and the scientists believed that it's physically impossible for a human to run a mile under 4 minutes, right? So all the records for decades had been, kind of like with that limit in mind, that you kind of cannot really break through that 4 minutes. Well, in 1954, a British athlete, Roger Bannister, as I mentioned, actually had run a mile, and he ran it in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. So he actually was able to break through that limit. Interestingly enough, you see how it says pioneers inspire others. Very soon afterwards, even though again for decades that record wasn't broken, literally just a few months later, other athletes started to break that record. So you see how that limit was nowhere but in people's minds. So they just knew that you could not do better. And that's kind of what was stuck in the mind, that's the limit that you cannot get over, right? So limitations are often psychological. What we perceive as impossible may simply require a shift in the mindset, right? Just another way of looking at it. And again, questioning things. We need to always be questioning things. Whatever that, again, that resistance voice, whatever that voice is, that story, we need to, one, become aware that that monologue, that constant commentary is running in the background, but we also need to be many a time stopping ourselves and asking ourselves questions and questioning and challenging those specific things that we say to ourselves, right? Like, is that really the case? Can that really not be done? Or is there anything that I can do right now to possibly start getting closer to it? So very important, right? Very important to question that, very important to challenge that. And of course, it's extremely important to shine a light on that happening on the background, because there is that conversation, that this voices in your head is it's not just you. We all have those conversations and those kind of arguments in our minds, right? That's a human experience. We all have it. So that's why it's difficult to sit in silence and meditate, because that constant commentary is ongoing. So again, pioneers inspire others. Seeing someone else succeed gives others permission gives them a permission and confidence that, you know what, maybe I can do the same thing, right? So you actually inspire others, and you can be inspired by others. And when that little voice says, well, you can't do that, you stop it and you say, who said that? Why I can't do it? Look at this person, they were able to do it. So really, like, all that separates us from, great people is just a set of habits. That's all that separates us. So yes, you can do it just like that other person. So get inspired by that. If that person is able to do it, you are able to do even more than that. And there is no one here except for you that can say that you can't do it. And you shouldn't be allowed to do that either. You should actually challenge that and say, well, you know what, I'll show you, and I will get it. I will be working on it. I'll start working on it, So, and lastly, the progress accelerates after breakthroughs. As I said, that once Roger broke through that record, a few months later, there was another athlete that broke the record again. So you are not just doing it for yourself, you're also doing it to allow others in your surroundings, your loved ones, to do the same, to be inspired by that, right? To repeat your story. So whatever that limiting belief is, just keep in mind, it's just a belief. It's just an assumption. Challenge it and believe in something else, believe in something good, believe in something great. So that kind of brings me to the end of our challenges and roadblocks, right? The blocks that I was talking about mainly was, one is resistance, which is resistance in getting started. Number two is kind of consistency in our showing up and in our effort in progress. So we need to consistently show up, we need to get started. And lastly, be aware of the monologue and the conversation that's happening in your mind, right? And challenge it, and work on overcoming those limiting beliefs. Hopefully with that, affirmation that you're working on during the miracle morning, work on that limiting belief and recognize that it's all it is in your mind. That's the only place it exists. There are no limits. And as I promised, to wind this down, I'm going to talk about making a commitment to this, right? Making a commitment to your progress, to your goals. And that's where we will be taking that aspiration into action, right? By making a commitment to consistently showing up. And yes, there is a formula to the commitment, and I will tell you about it briefly. And there's a great book that's called Commit to Win. And again, it's in the next page. Real quickly, I give you a peek. You see, Commit to Win, Heidi Reader. And these are all the books that I've referenced, and I recommend you very, very much to read them. But let's go back to commitment. Commitment is the psychological attachment to something and the intent to stick with it, even and especially when challenges arise, right? So it's a commitment. It's a psychological attachment. It's the ability to show up again and again and again consistently because you have a commitment to something. And the formula for the commitment, the things that make it stronger, they are with a positive sign, which is treasures and contributions. And the things that make it weaker are troubles and choices. So let's first talk about treasures. Treasures are the rewards of or the benefits that come from the activity, right? So coming back to I will go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week because I want to be a healthier and fit person. The benefits will be obviously, your improved health. You're going to be more fit. You're going to be able to chase after the kids faster. And you're going to be sleeping better. You're going to be having more energy. You're going to be enjoying the community of people that you're working out with. And you're going to feel very accomplished and good about yourself because you are taking care of yourself and loving to yourself. Okay, those are kind of like the treasures, the benefits that come from that activity, right? Troubles. And those are challenges, or kind of like, what does it cost you to do it? Well, I mean, it takes time out of your day, right? Especially if you have to drive to the gym and you have to find parking and it's raining outside. And I really like this, I would really rather not do it because I feel kind of lazy today and I'm really tired and I had a really long day. So those are the troubles, right? So you want to minimize that, okay, to increase your commitment. in fact, a very good book that talks about that is Atomic Habits. It's also in the list. So don't worry, we got it there. So troubles, you want to minimize that so that your commitment is bigger. Contributions, those are the things that you've already put into this activity, right? You already created connections in your class for the weight training. You already, making such great progress on your running speed, this is everything that you've already invested in the activity, right? You've already bought all kinds of outfits for going to the gym, for the exercise. So those are the contributions, right? In business speak, sometimes they call it sunk cost. This is something that you've already invested, and you don't really want to leave it behind. Like, it's kind of like, oh man, I already put in all of this, I might as well go on, right? So those are the contributions, and again, they increase your commitment. And in Atomic Habits, the author does speak about how to kind of capitalize on that and use that to increase your level of commitments to the habits and to the goals. And choices is too many options. Like, that's what I was saying, when it's raining outside and I would kind of rather be watching Netflix show. Those are the choices, right? The more choices you have, it's like there's so many choices. I can be going out with my friends right now, I can be watching a show right now, I can be playing with my dog right now, or with my child, so all of those choices, they take away from your commitments. So there is also a way to manage that, right? Miracle Morning, wake up at 7 in the morning before anybody else is awake, 6 in the morning before anybody else is awake. So this is the formula, a quick formula for commitment. Commitment is not once you did it, you're done. Commitment is ongoing. You have to commit yourself, recommit yourself. And the more you commit yourself and the longer you commit yourself, the more committed you are. Because guess what? You have all these contributions in there, right? So important, keep it in mind, keep those categories in mind. Yes, I hope that they help you in making your commitment to the worthy goals for you stronger, okay? And again, here are the books, and here's the Atomic Habits by James Clear that I just talked about real quickly. By the way, a lot of those books, like for example, Failing Forward by John Maxwell, is on YouTube for free. You can just be walking and listening to it, okay? This could be your 10-minute exercise. It doesn't count towards your reading. Well, actually, yes, it does, I guess. So, so enjoy them. I would highly recommend. Every single one of them had made an impact on me and definitely helped me. So I really appreciate your time. Reach out to me if I can help with anything, with advice, with a roadblock that I can help you work through. And I'm really happy that you got to spend some time with me, and I got to spend some time with you. Thank you.